Hello everybody, the Lawn Gnome is here, and we're gonna be here for a while, boys and girls, so you should get yourself a snack. Back in 2008, we all went to see a movie called Iron Man, and at the end of that movie, there was a special treat in which a mysterious visitor with an eye patch shows up in his house and says, "I want to talk to you about the Avengers initiative." 4 years and 4 more films later, we've now officially gotten to this point. The Avengers are assembled, and I went to go see probably what is the most anticipated summer blockbuster next to Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight Rises. Now, I really was not going in this completely hyped up and ready to go because this movie has just been so overhyped to the fact that you know that when you're going into this theater, there is no way that this movie is going to suck. And that's exactly how I felt. Not only did this movie not suck in the slightest, this movie was a true, well-executed piece of film work, directed by Joss Whedon. Marvel Studios has achieved the impossible by putting together a concept. Why don't we create a bunch of individual characters in their own separate movies and have them all come together in this unbelievable showdown that will decide the fate of themselves and the human race as we know it? Let me explain to you why this movie worked in so many ways. It can be summed up in one word and one word alone. Timing. The fact that the characters were given their own individual amount of screen time, as well as screen time in the group, not only showed us the way that they all worked together as a team, but also really explored their characters as people in this world. While they each had their own individual movies, not all of them, but some, you know who they are, there was still so much more to learn, and it just captured it all. The amount of time that this movie lasts. This movie is over 2.5 hours long. It felt like I was in that movie much shorter. It just didn't feel like 2.5 hours long. It didn't. And the best part was, even during the slow points, everything just moved beautifully and perfectly. Like, you're not going to see all the heroes at the beginning of the movie. They all come in at the exact precise moment. The ways that they convey their words against each other and the ways that they go up against their foes are done very well. And the movie is just paced perfectly in the slow points and the fast points. The jokes. There are points in time where you're going to see anything from visual jokes to corny jokes to comic book reference jokes, but you will laugh, and at the same time, even when there's a joke that's done during a point in time where this guy may in fact get killed if he just says the wrong thing, it works! The jokes are there, and they are put in the most precise execution and moments in the film that you just have to smile, and you laugh even harder. You nudge your friend to the side saying, "Oh my god, that was so great, it worked." We finally got to see other actors that did portray roles in the first couple of films, like Scarlett Johansson and Samuel L. Jackson, and of course Jeremy Renner. I feel that he was not done so much justice, and I feel that he could have gotten a little bit more. But then you have other people who just showed up in the movie, like Colby Smulders, who plays Maria Hill. And even though she didn't have such a crazy good role in this movie, there is definitely room for more. Mark Ruffalo. Was I upset over the fact that there was no Edward Norton playing the Hulk as he did in The Incredible Hulk? I was a little upset because it would have been awesome to see Edward Norton alongside Chris Evans, Robert Downey Jr., Chris Hemsworth, etc. However, Mark Ruffalo felt in this movie like he was there all along, and you'd expect Robert Downey Jr. to steal this show, just like he steals the spotlight in the 2 Iron Man films. But no, Mark Ruffalo was just put into this movie. He did a phenomenal job as Bruce Banner and the Hulk, and you obviously know that it paid off because he signed on to do 5 more films. Let's talk about the action sequence. Now, Let's take an example like Transformers: The Dark of the Moon. There were great action moments in that big showdown at the very end, but it was more about a whole bunch of things that just had to happen. They didn't know where these pieces were going to go. They didn't know exactly what was going to happen or how it was going to end up, but they said, here's your action sequences, here's what should happen, let's make it, and let's go from there. The Avengers battle at the very end of the movie is so well executed, and it lasts for about 40 minutes, and the best part is, there are moments where they're together in a shot, but then there are parts where they're not in the shot together. There are parts where there's 2 people in one side of the battle. There's a part where 3 people are at one side of the battle. But the funny part is, you can definitely see that it's all one battle, and it just flows from one to the other beautifully. The acting really gave them the time to really strut their stuff. Because if you take a look at the other movies, yes, the individuals have better individual moments in their own films. But there was still room for emotions like fear, compassion, doubt. There's a moment in this big battle in which Chris Evans' character as Captain America is looking at enemies coming at him from all sides. And he looks at you and says to you without words, this may not be a battle that we can win, and we're the only ones on this earth that can win it. The movie's just phenomenal. What can I say that's bad about this movie? Well, I guess that there's only 2 things, but one as a fanboy, and one just as this whole project has come into fruition. And believe me, they're far from over. I didn't like the fact that Thor couldn't wear his helmet. Tom Hiddleston, who was great, by the way, with Loki, got to wear his helmet. I just felt that Thor without his patented helmet with the wings just made Thor incomplete. I just wanted to see him fight with his helmet. But that's neither here nor there. Now you take a look at the way that these movies have gotten to this point. When is Warner Brothers Studio going to pull their thumbs out of their asses and say to Bruce Timm, the guy who has given them the most amazing animated stories in the DC comic universe, and say, take these DC characters and let's do what Marvel is doing, because that's how we're going to make these successful DC films work. I feel that Christopher Nolan's Batman can surely work with Martin Campbell's Green Lantern and possibly Zack Snyder's Superman. And I believe that they can create sequels, expand the rogues galleries, and eventually group together for a Justice League film. It should happen. The fans want it. The comic world would love it. Warner Brothers would make millions. You just have to do what Marvel has officially done. They've set a bar. They've basically said that you can create a massive film saga and make it not terrible. At this point, it's just a matter of Marvel trying to grab the 3 franchises that are being held by Fox and Sony Columbia, and that's X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and Spider-Man, and bring them into this universe and expand it. Because next year, you're going to be getting a Thor sequel, a 3rd Iron Man, and somewhere down the line, you're going to get another Avengers, another Captain America, and even another Hulk. And that's not even including the major additional characters, hero and villains, that will eventually be incorporated into this Marvel universe. There is so much more to expose to the fans. There's so much more of a story to tell. So as far as I'm concerned, people have said that the Avengers is the climax, the breaking point. There's no way they can get better than this. I highly disagree. You take what you left with the Avengers and you expand it throughout your additional films that are on the way. What am I giving the Avengers as a rating? 4 out of 4. Are you kidding? That's it, guys. Comment, like, and subscribe. And the question that I want to leave with you today is, as I said, there's room for improvement. There's room for expansion in this Marvel universe. And there are definitely going to be more heroes brought into the Avengers world once the sequel is made. Who do you feel should show up in their own individual movie next, alongside the 4 that have already gotten their own films? I am the Lawn Gnome, and remember that actions speak louder than words.